And she did this, I believe, for 720 hours. Crazy. And she is also very famous for walking the Great Wall of China with her boyfriend. That is a very famous, obviously, piece of work. She's a performance artist. Yes. I don't know why I said like this. She's a performance artist. Okay. And very inspirational work. I never really understood the depth to it because I kind of don't feel super driven towards performance art. I don't know why. I can get it and I can appreciate it, but it's definitely not my niche. It's not. Same way I don't like poetry. Is that criminal to say? Can't stand it. I like Sylvia Plath though. I don't know, just because she was cool as a person, but like, and most artists are cool as people. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a bit mean. I don't know. But obviously her work is admirable and inspirational and extremely interesting when you actually read about it, which I did. Because I thought, well, she must understand something. And what I found was very interesting. So she had this partner called, and I might not say this right, it's either Ule or Yule. Okay? And they dated for years, and they described themselves as two bodies in one head. And basically, they kind of merged into one person. They would wear the same exact clothes, same haircut, and they would do the same projects. And their projects kind of looked, among other things, at like the ego and the self and going to the highest intensity of their relationship. And then eventually departing from that relationship, which was their walk of the Great Wall of China. They started with two different ends and walked towards each other with the original intention to marry when they met in the middle. But what ended up happening was they met in the middle and then went their separate ways. Why did they go their separate ways? Now listen, not to speak ill of the dead, but he did have an affair and get another woman pregnant right before they started walking the Great Wall of China. Now listen, if that was me, so to undergo that level of intense relationship with someone, and I get it, they're artists and they were intentionally doing the whole enmeshment thing, becoming one. You're gonna betray me like that? When listen, what's interesting is they got probably as close as you can to removing the barrier between being two separate people from the person you love. I feel like they got as close as humanly possible to, you know that feeling of like you want to climb inside your partner? Like hugging isn't enough. Like I literally need to get in your asshole and then climb into your ribcage and like curl up inside you. That's kind of like what they were doing. Like that they got as close as you can get without surgery to literally like becoming one. Because I guess like kind of the crazy part about life is you are so alone. You are so alone, and that might scare some people. It doesn't scare me. Personally, I'm relieved at that thought. But like there are people who, I guess for them, the highest ideal of love or the most intense version of love that they can get, which for whatever reason they wished to experience, the highest of the intensity and the most in-depth of their love experience, for them that meant literally becoming one person. And it's interesting because I would never look at love that way. And maybe they didn't either, and maybe I just like haven't read enough about their work and like the different ways to perceive it. But when I love someone, I don't want to be one with them. I want to be able to like behold them. I want to see them. I can't see you if I'm too close. I don't want to be you or be part of you. Like I love you. Does that make sense? I don't need to be so intimately involved with I don't need to become part of, I want to be in your life, but my love, I feel like, for someone doesn't grow based on how close they are to me. In terms of you're in a relationship and you're literally becoming one fucking person. To me, that isn't growing closer. It's just doing something else. Does that make sense? Like, I remember the first time I fell in love, which is a story I don't talk about online, but I will just say this. I remember being so way too in awe of this person, like way too in awe. And we broke up, and I remember the peace that I felt in knowing that they weren't dying, they weren't disappearing just because we broke up. They were always going to be out there in the world alive. They just weren't going to be with me. And I remember thinking, this is the second best outcome for me. The first best is that I get to be with you. And the second best is that I get to know that you're alive. Just her being in the world and being happy, whether or not I had a part in that, was genuinely almost as good as getting to be with her. So I was confused by her words because I was like, that's not how I feel about love. Like, to me, I already was at the peak of my love and my journey with this person because, great, we break up. I'm so sad, but I'm so thrilled for you. And I'm thrilled for the world that it's about to have you. Like, it's like you're going to go somewhere else and you're not going to be with me anymore. How lucky is everyone else? Like, I don't know, like, everyone deserves a time with you and to know you and, like, whatever. It's not going to be me anymore. At least you're still... I don't know, like, they were a whole person without my involvement. And that is why I love them. Does that make sense? And I also feel... And this is exclusive, by the way. This next thing is exclusive to when I date women. I feel, whenever I'm, like, with a guy, whatever, I feel like I'm like, yeah, I'm a woman, I'm feminine, you could never understand. I feel, yeah, like I am a woman. Like, it doesn't really, it's not really a thing I think about, but it's like, that's, if I was to say how I feel, yeah, I'm a woman. It's not something I think about explicitly, but like, if I had to, I would say that's how I feel. When I am with women, and this isn't the right wording, but I've never been able to find the right wording, so let me just say this. I feel almost not like a woman, and the reason for that is, like, I'm so in awe of whoever the girl is and everything that she embodies that I start to almost feel like a little boy. And you know the way some little boys maybe are perceived in well-written movies, where they are in awe of the girl next door. Like that very classic, awestruck, wonder state of being that you see portrayed in little boys. Like in My Girl, the way Macaulay Culkin feels about... I forgot her name. If you've seen the movie, you know. But like, that moment where the little girl does something and the boy's jaw kind of drops and he's just like watching her and he's like 5. And it's like, it's almost this like otherment of like, what are you? Like you're an alien, like you've just discovered a species and it's like, oh my god. Does this feeling, do you know what I'm talking about? Because every time I like a girl or I'm with a woman, in a relationship, whatever, that is how I feel towards them. And it makes me almost retreat into like, you are another species. And I know nothing of that. I know not what it is to be you. It doesn't really manifest in bad ways. Like, it's a good thing. It's an interesting feeling. I've never been able to vocalize it or, like, make it make sense. So let me know if you know what the fuck I'm talking about right now. But it's just, like, I couldn't imagine being in a relationship where we merge. Because the way I want to love someone doesn't rely on having to be them, or having them be me, or having to live an identical experience, or having to achieve ultimate proximity. Does that make sense? What was my point? Like, I was talking about yearning. I don't know, I'm just giving thoughts on yearning at this point. But like, I kind of forgot about all these feelings for many years, like I said. And then, not for many years, but like I did forget about these feelings for a while. And everything was replaced, like I said, by things more negative and like coming from badder places? Yeah, for sure. Coming from worse places. But I've remembered what it is to feel loving lately. To feel, because the thing is too, if I'm not indulging in the other person, I'm indulging in myself. And one thing about me is I don't really like myself. I do, and I'm learning how to practice self-love and build a better relationship with myself. But nonetheless, I have all sorts of bones to pick with this bitch. So it's like, if I'm leaving a date or leaving an interaction with someone and I'm thinking about myself, like, oh god, it's not good. When I get to leave thinking about the other person, it's a really nice feeling. And for me, those feelings do not spiral into obsession or yearning or whatever. But I understand they can. But as people, not my fucking problem, because I don't feel that way. But if you do, stop, weird. So, these two artists, okay, Marina and Swell.